What does an 18-year veteran of the tech industry and a 20-year veteran of the military have in common? More than you might think. Welcome, everyone, to the Second Act podcast, leveling up your life's journey. Welcome back to the Second Act podcast with Michael and John. We're thrilled to have another guest speaker on our show today.
Hey, Michael. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, John. You know, I actually have traveled over the holidays.
Yeah.
And I picked up something. I wasn't feeling 100% yesterday. I'm on the upswing today, and as they say, the show must go on. So I'm not 100%. I probably sound a little funny, but I'm ready to go. I'm super excited about today, and
well, you look good, so that's what matters.
Well, thanks.
For those of you that can't see Michael, he looks great, all black again, super big smile on his face. Looks like he just came off the beach. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's as they say, I've got a face for radio, but
well, unfortunately, we only do the voiceovers. We don't show any videos. So.
Exactly.
Fortunately for both of us, I guess. Well, man, happy Thanksgiving. Yeah. Happy late Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal time. I think I love Thanksgiving because it just really allows you, at least in our house, we sit around the table and talk about the things that we're thankful for this year for 2023. And the people and the community that we have, and just, you know, we talked about it in our Thanksgiving episode, but just what a way to encapsulate the year and talk about all the things that we have around us that we can be thankful for. So I think it's really neat perspective, really neat time to have that, at least in our family. So
yeah, we do the same, and it's always good to get together with family and be present. And to your point, John, just be grateful for all the amazing things that have happened, and count yourself as fortunate for the things that we do have in life. Yeah. So it's a good time to reflect on all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for this show, and I'm thankful for our next guest. So let's get into it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, in our last guest episode, we were joined by Sarah Gonzalez. She was a mortgage industry executive who shared her incredible life story of grit and perseverance, as well as some of the things she intends to pursue during her second act in life. And we ended that episode with Sarah's universal advice to just be kind, as you never know what someone else is going through. Man, it's so true.
Yeah, absolutely. In this episode, we're joined by Kristi Omdahl, a sixth-generation Californian who has called Colorado home for nearly 30 years. Kristi has had entrepreneurship in her blood since birth, with her dad building many successful businesses over his lifetime. During the earlier part of Kristi's professional career, she built and led in-house corporate marketing teams for franchise and multi-unit retail brands, such as Core Power Yoga, Postnet, International Franchise Corporation, and Cherry Creek North. She's also spent a number of years in the ad agency side, elevating local, national, and global brands such as Beaver Creek Resorts, Coors, Chipotle Mexican Grill, Red Rocks Amphitheater, Procter & Gamble, and more. So, you know, just a couple of household name brands there.
Dropping some big names.
Yeah, absolutely. But after nearly 20 years in the corporate world, she reached her pivotal moment, her second act, and set out on her own entrepreneurial journey and started a professional organizing company called KO Luxury Organizing. Their goal is to help residences and businesses build organized spaces that are functional, easy to maintain, and beautiful for a more peaceful and happy life. Sounds like something everybody should have in their life. Outside of work, Kristi loves spending time wining and dining and traveling with her family, which includes her amazing husband of 15 years, but have been together for 20. and 2 fur babies. Kristi's big on morning routines, something that we've talked about on our show is important part of your first or 10th act. And she's excited to tell us about her second act journey, along with a story about a moth, a mounting collection of trucker hats, and what it's like to be a Leo trapped in a Virgo's body, something I am interested to learn about more. I've known Kristi for a long time, and not only is she an impressive businesswoman, but also an amazing individual that I can call a close friend. And this is Kristi's first podcast appearance, so we'll do our best to set the bar high, because I'm sure she'll have many appearances during her second act. So, hi, Kristi.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Kristi.
Thanks for the intro. So
Yeah.
nice.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Did I get it all right?
You did. Yeah.
Okay.
I have to
Perfect.
listen to someone tell the story.
Can I ask the first question, Kristi?
Yes.
All right. 6 years or six generation Californian, and you decide to break it and come to Colorado. Well, what was in that decision?
I really had no part in the decision. I was 15, 15 when
Okay.
I moved to Colorado, and my parents had been in California their whole lives. And, we were surrounded by a lot of crime populated areas, and my parents were just ready for a change. And my dad could work from anywhere as long as he was near a major international hub. And Colorado we went, and we never looked back.
That's awesome. So I take it your dad's is he in the airline industry?
No, he just had a business that required him
Okay.
to travel quite a bit, and
Okay.
offices around the world. So
But you're here and you're in Colorado and
He
you're
was
not
on
looking
Yes.
back.
not
Oh.
looking back. We've never looked back. We visit California when we need to, but we love Colorado. It's a great place to call home.
Awesome.
I will never say the native word though. I'm not a native.
No.
I feel like a native though. It's deep in my soul.
You got the Colorado vibe. I can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Relaxed,
Yep.
happy, energetic.
Well, thank you.
Someone once described the people of Colorado as being very friendly. Like that's their perception whenever they traveled from out of state to Colorado. He said they're just a friendly bunch of folks out here, which I never really thought about, but I would have to agree that it's got a really amazing vibe from a people perspective. And it seems like who you are at home is who you are at work. No one's trying to, fake it in any way. I don't know. It's just, that's one of the things I happen to like about it as well.
Yeah, actually, I have a very vivid memory of driving around with our realtor when we were looking at houses when we were moving here. And we were, in the backseat of her car, just driving around, and people were waving, and we were like, are they waving at us? Like, what? Like, people just say hi to you at the grocery store and wave to you when you drive by? I don't get it. But it is Colorado. It was not
Yeah,
very
it's
used
definitely
to in
not
California.
anything that happens on the East Coast. I'll tell you that much.
No.
I hold doors for people going into stores on the East Coast, and people look at me like I don't know, like
Crazy.
they wait for me to close the door before they open it and go back through. So
So true.
So as a sixth generation Californian now, a Coloradan, I guess according to what your soul tells you, let's start. What are some of the most impactful things in that journey from California to Colorado? Some of your childhood memories that make you who you are today.
I love this question, and it really made me think. When you sent me the list of questions, I really paused on this one for a while and kind of thought about my childhood and what are the things that have made me who I am today. And I think it really boils down to three things that stand out in my mind. And the first one is that my dad, as you mentioned, was a successful entrepreneur at a very young age, and I was very lucky to grow up in an affluent home with opportunity. But my parents didn't come from a lot, and so they made it so incredibly clear to my brother and I that you have to work hard for success. And we always had chores around the house, and we had to do our part in our home, and if we wanted allowance, we had to work for it, and we had to get good grades, and C's were frowned upon. I mean, gosh, if we came home with a C, it was like the end of the world. So, because of my dad's business, we were constantly exposed to adults and people that were successful. And I think my parents were just always trying to upskill us. And one of the things that immediately popped into my head when I was thinking about this interview was my parents sent us to etiquette school, which is absolutely hilarious to think about. But shout out to Mrs. Graber. But it's so symbolic of my childhood. I just die thinking about it. But I think they just wanted us to really maximize our potential and work hard to succeed. And because of that, I've always been very disciplined and just have worked hard in every aspect of my life. My parents were also insanely strict. Molly can attest to this, Michael's wife, who I've known for a very long time. But my parents had insanely high expectations of us, and there were rules, and they held us accountable. Gosh, the amount of times I heard them say, there's consequences for your actions, and you'll pay the price. You'll pay the price. Man, I heard that so many times growing up. So I just was very aware of my actions and outcome that my actions would have. And I just never wanted to disappoint my parents, and now as an adult myself. So that was big. And then the third and last thing is that my mom is insanely organized, just out of control organized. And
I didn't know that. Okay.
She is so organized. It's just nuts. And so our home growing up was always organized. Everything had a place. We always, had to put away our toys, and there was never any clutter. And it probably sounds insane, like an insane place to live, but she taught us, how to purge, and we didn't hang on to things, and she was just very planful about everything. I remember her planning our trips and our school activities, and everything was just buttoned up. We were always on time, and I think that had a profound effect on me as an adult and my adult life, and obviously my second act.
Yeah, it's a couple of things sort of came together there. Your dad's entrepreneurial genes, and I think he also has some marketing expertise, as well as your mom's organizational skills. Those morphed into who Kristi is in her second act, and has helped you establish this successful business that you've started. That's very cool.
The crazy part is growing up, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. My dad was, that's all I knew. It was entrepreneurship. And I never crossed my mind. It was terrifying. It was just something I never had a desire to be. Never thought I would be. And here I am. I guess when it's in your blood, you have to face it at some point.
You do. Yeah.
Kristi, let me stop real quick. There's so many things in your story that resonate with me personally. I think the discipline in the house and how that made you who you are. My parents were actually late for everything, so I had to go 180 out and be on time for everything. But you going in through marketing, and then now going into your next act, which is the systemizing and organization business that you're in. Man, that really resonates. I was a marketing major in college and had no idea where I was going to go with that, and thought about, advertising and trying to go that route. But then I ended up joining the Marine Corps, which I think ties into your organization route, because the Marine Corps really taught me about systemizing and organization and structure and the balance. And man, I was telling you and Michael before the show started, if my timer didn't go off on my computer that I was going to be late for this podcast, I would have probably still have been looking at the pictures on your website, which is KO Luxury Organizing, right? KO.
Yep.
I was sitting there, every picture after picture after picture, looking at all the things that you have done and enamored by the color organization and everything that you've been doing. And so it just really is impressive to see you transition from one chapter in marketing and doing this so successfully. And I think you started in 2020, right? Heart of COVID. Man, and you're thriving.
Why not?
So congratulations on the business.
Well, thank you.
And congratulations on the pivot. It seems like it was a great fit for you based on what I'm seeing you actually doing. So
thank you. I love it. It's scary to make that leap, but it's worked out so far.
Yeah. So can you talk about that? I think I listened to a little bit of your story earlier, but you were laying in bed and you told your husband, I think I'm supposed to be an organizer. Can you talk us through that process?
Yeah, I mean, oh man. So I spent 20 years in the corporate world, and I always felt a little bit lost. And when I say lost, I mean that it just never felt right. Like I never felt like I was doing what I was meant to be doing. Even though I had a great career, a successful career, moved my way up, worked on great brands, worked with amazing people, just something always felt off. And I spent a large majority of those 20 years kind of trying to figure out, what should I really be doing? And there was one point where I was like, I'm going to be an interior designer. And I applied for the Art Institute and got in and almost went. And then I was like, I don't want to go a couple $100,000 in debt. So scrap that idea. Went back to marketing, or continued in marketing, I should say. I explored becoming a nutritionist. I mean, there are all these things. And the last company that I was at in my corporate life was an international franchise company. And I had a ton of opportunity at that organization. I worked my way up from marketing manager to VP at the executive level, sat on the leadership team and turned that marketing team around. And, it was a great ride. And during that time, our company was acquired by another company, and they actually acquired two companies. And so there's a lot of transition happening. And the founder of our company was about to retire from his CEO role. And so they were looking for someone to take his place and kind of oversee, our brand under our parent company. And so they were looking for a COO. And they tapped three of us internally to apply for that position. And I was one of them, which was a huge honor and a crazy journey. I didn't end up getting the position, which I was super disappointed about at the time. But it really made me think even more about this struggle I was having internally about who am I? What do I do for the next 20 years? Do I keep doing marketing for 20 more years, And, someone's going to ask me to run a company. Do I want to run someone else's company or do I want to run my own? And so it just caused a lot of internal dialogue. And, looking back, I'm so grateful for the experience. It wasn't fun to go through at the time, but I had an executive coach at the time, and she was tremendous in helping me sort of think through all these things that were happening and rattling around in my brain. And so, after some time, and actually the company, when I didn't get the COO role, they were like, do you want to head up our sales department and take, do something new, do something fresh? And I was like, sales? I've never done sales in my entire life, but sure, why not? It's something new. I'll give it a shot. So I did that for almost a year and, still kind of trying to figure things out. And one Sunday morning, January of 2020, I woke up insanely early on a Sunday for some reason, and I just couldn't sleep. And my husband James was passed out cold, and I just flipped on the TV, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if I saw something on TV or what, but suddenly I had this light bulb moment and this internal dialogue that was just like, oh my gosh, I'm incredibly organized. People pay people for this. This is a skill. I should start a business. I have 20 years of business experience. Oh my gosh. So James rolled over, woke up, and I was like, I think I should be an organizer. I think I should start an organizing business. And he's just like, what? Are you insane? And so, but it felt so right in that moment. And I just started thinking about it. And I started telling friends and family, hey, I love organizing. Would you be interested in letting me help you organize your house and just kind of see if I actually liked it and if it was a, legit thing I could do? And, the pandemic hit. And so I, by that summer, by July, I had photos from friends and family of projects that I had done. And so I started an Instagram account, just like a little passion project, start sharing these little organizational tips and tricks. And by the end of July, someone reached out to me and was like, hey, is this a thing? Can I pay you to come organize my house? And 3 weeks later, my position was eliminated at my job, along with the whole executive team on our side. And they took incredible care of me, and I'm so grateful for that. And 5 days later, I turned 40, and I was like, you know what? It's now or never. I have this runway. I'm going to, talk to James. I'm going to give myself a year and just see if I can make something of this. And, let's do this. And I can always come back to my corporate life if this doesn't work out. And I haven't looked back.
Wow. That's awesome.
That was kind of a long story, but you sort of needed the backstory there.
Well, I love it. The story is amazing. One, your light bulb moment. Laying in bed and thinking, wait, I've got these things, kind of you strung together some sequences of things that you're good at and some things that you have accomplished and some passions. And you said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And so that to me is what this show is all about. We are trying to encourage people that went through or that are going through what you went through. And, leaving one thing after 20 years or 30 years, whatever it is, and now trying to start something else. And they just spending that little bit of time, what we call second act pause or,
the second act pause.
Is taking that little bit of time to figure out what they are called to do next. And it doesn't have to be another 20-year career. You did, a long stint in advertising. Michael did a long stint in tech. I did a long stint in the military, but then the next thing doesn't have to be another 20 years. It can be something, very short. It can be something that's a side project. I'm interested to hear about your first year and what that, you said you were going to give yourself a year. And can you kind of talk through some of the maybe doubts or imposter syndrome or things that maybe you encountered in that first year?
Oh, yeah. It's a roller coaster. I mean, it's crazy. People that start businesses are crazy.
You have to be, I think. You have to have a little bit of crazy in you.
Have to be a little crazy. Something.
Yeah.
For the record, Michael's the crazy one in this relationship.
Which,
I don't know.
John keeps me grounded. My risks are calculated. Don't get me wrong. They're calculated risks, but I do have a decent risk tolerance, which I think you have to have.
Yeah.
If you're going to, pursue a second act.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, I'm very planful, and, James likes to tell me that I build and build my little army, and then I'm so buttoned up about it, and then I just go out and I go for the win. I'm not very impulsive, but I do crazy things with a lot of planning associated. The first year was, you don't make a lot of money. So there's that, but it's baby steps, right? It's one thing at a time. I'm a list maker, so I learned a lot in my franchise life. The company I was at prior to this was a franchise company, and so I learned how to start small businesses. I learned a lot of the ins and outs of what it takes to open and run a business. So I kind of like reflected back on that and made my little checklist of like, okay, these are all the things I need to do to start a business, and I just one at a time went through each one and just kind of took it slow and didn't have a ton of expectations for myself other than just like putting one foot in front of the other and being happy and having fun along the way. And, there's a lot of ups and downs. You hear a lot of no, and that's hard. And, I'm innately a perfectionist, and I hate to fail. And it's been a struggle for me my whole life. And I think entrepreneurship has really taught me to let go of that, because you fail every day, all day. And especially in that first year where you're wearing 10,000 hats, and, suddenly a marketer is supposed to be an accounting person and like a operations person. And like, I'm actually supposed to organize too. And so, it's a lot of ups and downs, but it was also really exciting and exhilarating. And it was this new path that felt so right. And so that's what keeps you going. You ride that on the worst days.
A couple of things, Kristi, you mentioned that are kind of interesting to me in this story that we've been telling on this podcast. All the things that you did in corporate life, in climbing the ranks, spending time in operations and marketing, and then in sales for a period of time, if you connect those dots, they led you right to this point to sell yourself and your business and what you're doing, the value that you bring to your clients. So it's kind of amazing to me. And then you also mentioned having an executive coach along the way that also played sort of an instrumental part from your growth path, as sort of an objective third party. Like you're probably always going to get support even from your strict parents, to encourage you and help you and your friends as well. But that coach can give you from time to time some of that harder medicine to take to help you level up your game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you can't know these things as you're getting 1% better every day. You can only know the impact of these looking backwards.
Yeah.
And seeing how all these dots connect to make you who you are today. It's really fascinating to me how all that works.
Yeah. And I think everything happens for a reason in the right time and place. And I really believe that. I wasn't ready to be an entrepreneur out of college. It's only because I spent 20 years in the business world and gained all these skills and experiences and confidence, and that gave me the courage to do this now in my life. There's no way I would have done this 20 years ago, and I'm very grateful for my corporate life. I learned so much, and I think it's made it easier for me to be an entrepreneur. And having an executive coach, having my husband is a great partner, these people, friends, family that, I surround myself with to give me that feedback and be honest and be the shoulder to cry on when I'm having the worst day. It's all so important.
Yeah.
Kristi, I would like to ask you, I've done a little bit of coaching and am still coaching, but talk to us about your coaching experience and what that individual helped expose or maybe challenge within you that you weren't seeing yourself.
Oh man, that's a good question. Coaches are a bit like a therapist. And, it's not what they say, it's what they ask.
Mm-hmm.
And I think coaches ask really good questions, and they make you think deeply about what's happening, truthfully, what's happening in your life or the situation at hand. And I think that's what my coach did for me. I think she helped me expose things to myself in a way that was really natural and comfortable. And, especially being a perfectionist and someone that struggles with failure, she just kind of helped me work through that in just a really kind of easy way. And I 100% believe in coaches and therapists and anyone that can help you be a better person and give that outside perspective. In fact, I'm working on hiring a coach right now to help me in this phase of my life. And I can't wait. You have to have that sounding board,
Yes.
You need to have someone that's like separate from your life to help illuminate things that really no one else can see, and usually you can't see yourself, or you're not ready to admit. And for me, that's huge.
That's good.
Should we transition into a little bit more about your second act now, helping residences and businesses now? You just shared a really cool project across your social channels that you can tell us about, but helping them get organized for that peaceful and happy life you're trying to create for them. Tell us a little bit more about your business now and any cool projects that are worth mentioning.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. KO Luxury Organizing is my business. I'm a professional organizer, and I do mostly residential, but I've been doing more commercial projects lately. But what this means is that I spend a lot of time with people helping them get organized. So it could be a kitchen, it could be a pantry. The project that Michael is referring to, I helped a balloon company organize their 3,000 square foot commercial space. And, it was a blast. It was part design and it was part organization, just making their space look colorful and bright, and all their supplies were just perfectly organized, so everything had a place. I mean, that thousands and thousands of supplies. And so what I do is help people build systems so that they can be more effective in their day-to-day life. They know where things are, they have a place to put things away. It helps them manage inventory or supplies in your home. And what I hear a lot from my clients is, I don't know how to create the system, but once the system is there, I can follow it, and my family can follow it. And that's what I love doing. I love creating that system, and I love seeing people feel happier and lighter and more productive and more effective or efficient because they have a good organizing system in place. So that's basically what I do.
That and you touch on something really important there. It's hard to pursue something from an entrepreneurial perspective if you're not having fun and if you're not passionate about it. I don't even know how it would be possible to do. You'd run out of steam at some point, and it'd be, where are you going to find the motivation if you don't enjoy doing it?
Yeah. I think back to my corporate life, and back then work felt like work. I worked 10 to 12-hour days, 6 days a week most of the time, and it was a grind. And I think I did it because I wanted to succeed and prove myself and, have success in all the things. Now I have a lot more balance, but when I do work long hours, it's purely out of passion. And it's because I love it. And it doesn't feel like work. And to me, that's a sign that I'm finally doing what I'm meant to be doing.
And there's two things, Kristi, I think you're giving people that are maybe left out in some ways to some of the things we've talked about so far. You're giving people peace of mind in what they're doing. And when someone's organized and they know where things are, they're naturally more efficient, right? So you're actually giving people time back in their life on things that they ordinarily would have to spend time on that to them may be low value in some perspective. Maybe they want to spend more time with family or doing stuff outside, participating in their hobbies, and their ability now to let go of having to manage all that stuff that maybe they're not that great at in the first place, and hiring an expert like yourself to come in and consult and make their life a little bit better from that perspective, I think is, I don't think people give it as much appreciation of thought as they should. So,
I don't think people realize the effects of being organized until they are. And I think people save time, and they also save money. And, with a lot of clients organizing pantries, or even this commercial project that we were just talking about, when everything has a place, it really helps you avoid overbuying. You can see what you have. You know when you're out of batteries because there's a spot for batteries.
Of course there is.
Exactly. But truly, and especially for businesses, to know what your inventory is and to have a very clear system, it really does help you save money because you're not overbuying on things you don't need because you already have, you have them, you can see it. So it can have a huge effect on a lot of areas of your life.
Yeah. I mean, trying to sort of translate that into your military experience, John, I don't know if one branch is more organized than another branch in the military. Is there any branch that prides themselves on being, the most optimized for efficiency and organization and neatness?
Well, I'm going to show my bias, but of course, the Marine Corps. I think we pride ourselves in doing a lot with little, right? We're the smallest branch. We've got the smallest budget, fewest amount of Marines, but we do a lot, and we're stretched pretty thin. And I think that's an innate pride that's in us as Marines, being able to have that organizational structure that does support being slim and mean and, having some resilience built into it. So,
nice.
I mean, could you imagine the military if it was unorganized?
Oh, well, there are times where we are unorganized and it doesn't go well for us.
But for the most part, the military is very structured, very organized.
Well, and that's
very
still
systematized.
They're still working on passing an audit, but they talk about organization.
That's what I was saying, Kristi. When you talk about organization and systemization, and I look at your website, I look at those pictures. I mean, that's what I've been doing for 20 years, just in a different form, in a different way.
100%, yeah.
And man, it's liberating to see something that you've captured in a photo like that, and people's knowing how that affects people's lives and time and money and energy. I know how freeing that can be. I'm a list person too, and when I see the list of my day, I am very on point and structured and organized, and I'm going from task to task to task. But the days that I don't do that and don't have that list, 3 hours can pass, and I'm like, man, where is the day going, and what have I done?
Yeah.
And, so I know what you're doing for people, and it's pretty amazing. So
well, thank you, and thank you for your service in the military.
Oh, yeah,
we're very grateful for people like you.
So I'm going to shift for a second, aside from business, and you shared something in your bio that I'm probably not familiar with. It's a moth, okay? And you tie, or maybe there's a tie-in to your second act, maybe some grit and perseverance. Can you share for our listeners this story?
It's terrifying.
There's not a whole lot of tie-in to my second act, except that I survived and I'm here to tell the story.
Yep.
The short story is that a legit moth, flew in my ear when we were camping in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night. And I had to live with it in my ear for 12 hours before I could have it removed in the ER. And actually urgent care. I was removed at urgent care. And, moths are really loud when they fly in your ear because they're flapping around. And I mean, this is the stuff that can make you lose your mind. My family killed it with oil. So basically drowned it in my ear so it would stop fluttering around and making me insane. And then I slept with it in my ear overnight until it was daylight and we were sober and we could drive to an urgent care. And I guess the tie-in to my second act is that there's a lot of things in our life that are out of our control.
Yes.
And
that's good.
You've got to just roll with it. I think with the moth situation, I figured out how, and the people around me helped figure out how to get myself to a point where I could handle a moth in my ear for 12 hours, killing it. And then kind of just being calm and breathing through it and getting to the other side. And, that's what entrepreneurship is all about. And I think life in general, like there's just so much out of our control and it's all about how you handle the situation. And Sometimes we handle situations great, and sometimes we don't. And I think in the case of the moth, considering what happened, I think I handled it pretty well.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for the Xanax that someone had in their backpack.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It kept you calm.
Oh, my gosh. Thank goodness for that little tiny white pill.
Kristi, I was back at home and I got to speak at my alma mater before Thanksgiving. But I used a quote in my speech. And I don't know who made it, but it's that life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react.
100%.
And I think in this exact story that you're sharing, it was a small issue, comparatively to everything else, but how you reacted, I mean, it could have had huge consequences, huge, ramifications, but you handled it in a way that was fairly calm, fairly, you were able to react appropriately, and that makes all the difference. And I think I'm hearing that narrative and that same line through kind of the story that you're sharing about your, career in advertising and your transition into organization and this story. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I think you are signifying that importance of how you react to things in life.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be real. There were tears. And there have been a lot of tears in my 20-year journey. But, I try my hardest, when I can, to try to keep that top of mind. Just, how do you react, and how do you just move forward and persevere? And I try to be super optimistic about everything, and sometimes to a fault, but it's all you can do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really great Denzel Washington film, and I can't think of the name of it to save my life right now, but one of the lines in the movie is "smiles and cries," which really sums up the entrepreneurial journey. But I think in your case, and probably many others, Kristi, that it's not just in the journey of the second act, but through your lifetime. And what we're learning, from folks who, just the conversation between John and me, but then also folks who are coming on as guests are sharing their real selves and the things that they've gone through that have made them who they are today. And who knew a moth could make someone more resilient, and just go with the flow, and people, your support network stepping up and first eliminating the moth's life and then helping you remove the moth. But is there any relationship to that and the trucker hats, which we said we were going to touch on, or is that just part of the Kristi persona?
Oh, man. I wish there was a tie to the moth or my entrepreneurial journey, but I think it's just a persona thing, I guess. Really what it comes down to is I love hats, and I'm a fair-skinned redhead, and I have to wear them outside. And unfortunately, I have a giant dome, and trucker hats are the only ones that fit. And so it's kind of become a thing. I get 1 or 3 everywhere I go, and it's become quite the collection. And as an organized person, I'm somewhat minimalistic. I don't collect things. And so, this is like a thing. And, while we're on the topic of collecting things, Michael, I think you should share with the audience a little bit about your Santa collection.
Oh, absolutely. So when I was a kid growing up in Miami, Florida, I was like 6 or 7 years old. And in Miami, Florida, I actually had a working wood-burning fireplace in my first. It was this little house that was built, I don't know, in the 50s or something. But it had a wood-burning fireplace, and I was obsessed about lighting the fireplace during the winter in Miami. And in some days, it was too warm, and my mom would get really upset that I was lighting this fire because it would get so hot in the house. But I wanted to decorate the fireplace with some like little Santas on it. So I, like 6 or 7, we were at a store, picked up a couple little Santas, and they wound up on the mantle during Christmas time. And then people started to give them to me as gifts over the years. And so over time, I've amassed like this crazy collection of Santas that come out during Christmas time, and where I live now has a good way to display them, also around the fireplace and on the mantle. So yeah, there's something so jolly about them. Like you look at it, it just like it kind of puts a smile on your face. And my son loves them. He's always excited to help put them out each year. So it's a great bonding experience with my son as well to go through that. And I've let him know, at some point these will be yours. You can put them in your house and all that kind of good stuff.
You guys, so, yes. There's like hundreds of Santas.
How did I not know about this,
like
Michael?
Every kind of Santa you have ever seen. James and I have contributed to this collection.
Wow.
Yes. Yep.
That's going to be an episode in itself, as you just talking about this collection.
Michael, you need to show a photo sometime. I mean,
I
will
show a photo. Yeah,
it's legit.
Well, Kristi, I want to let you know, we probably have to talk offline because I share your affinity for trucker hats only because, well, I've been in the military for 20 years. I've had short hair, and it's always been neat and proper. And the day I got out of the Marine Corps, I said, I'm going to grow my hair out. And then I realized I don't know what to do with it. So I'm just going to wear a hat everywhere. And so I think in every episode that we've recorded and every photo I'm in, it's a trucker hat. So
yes,
we're going to probably have to share some of our favorites.
I should
probably have to give you one or two.
My favorites.
You should have.
We've actually got a second act. We've got a second act trucker hat that we need to give you.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
If you go to our website. Yes.
Oh, Michael, go to our website. You just take one over to her.
Yes. We can exchange the microphone for the hat.
Yes. I will bring you a hat.
I feel so official.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And that was the reference to the website, John, was for the audience members to, if they also have an affinity for trucker hats, they can pick one up on our website. Of course, Kristi will get one.
Yes.
It might be part of our Christmas gift exchange of some kind.
Oh, I cannot wait.
And we'll probably be giving away a few of our trucker hats at our December 14th event to support Higher Heroes.
This. That's going to be a great event.
Well, we're super excited about partnering with Higher Heroes on that. And a lot of folks are indicating they're going to be coming. So we're trying to raise as much money for that organization as possible.
Awesome.
It's so great.
Okay, we're rounding out the end of this podcast episode. The audience has built up some unique insights into who Kristi is. Let's finish off with your astrological analysis of being a Leo in a Virgo's body. Help us understand that dimension.
Oh gosh, so I was born August 18th. I definitely have a Leo in me. But Virgo starts on August 23rd, which is the first day of Virgo, and actually my husband's birthday. And I just have to say, I knew nothing about astrology. I truly don't. But James and I always talk about how he's always like, you're so much more of a Virgo than a Leo. And I think it is because I'm really organized. Virgos are very planful, very detail oriented, very organized and intentional. And, I'm just that way. And I'm not, very impulsive, and Leos tend to be, I wish I had more of that, but I don't. And, I like to intensely plan. Like I said before, get all my ducks in a row and then throw it down. And that's always been my strategy. And James is always like, you're a little general to yourself. Like I just have fierce internal conversations with myself at all times. And I'm just super aware and very focused and critical of my actions. Thanks, Mom and Dad. And don't let any distraction in. And I think that is a little bit more Virgo than Leo. So it's my own analysis. Take it with a grain of salt.
It's good. That's good. I got to do some reflection on my own astrology. I don't know. What am I? I'm an Aquarius, I think. What are you, John? Do you know?
Scorpio? Question mark? I think I am. I don't know. I don't know.
I honestly only know that because people have told me. I don't I'm not one to like read my horoscope.
No, I don't. It's too much information for me, I think.
Yeah. It's too like a little too out there for me.
We used to have a saying in the Marine Corps. We talked about penguins on an iceberg, right? And then what happens when you have too many penguins on that iceberg? They start falling off, right?
Oh.
So that's me and information. That's the
Totally.
astrology part is a fat penguin that just never made it onto that iceberg.
That's a good way to put it. I'm with you there. Too much information. I can't handle it.
In the last question, are there any final thoughts or advice you would pass on to our audience before we wrap things up? Think about people listening to this show are either in their second act or about to start their second act, about to transition from something into something else. What would you say to those people?
So two things. One, I think the first thing is, and this is just kind of from my own personal experience. I know not everybody is like this, and God bless you, but I struggle with perfectionism and failure. And, if you're going to do this entrepreneurial thing, it is a journey of imperfection. And I wish I would have spent less time focused on that. You kind of just have to put yourself out there and do it and learn. And I'm getting better and better at that every day. Success does not come without failure, period. End of story.
It's true.
And so I think, moving into an entrepreneurial journey, you just have to get real comfortable with that and be okay with it and laugh it off or whatever and learn from it. So I think that's a big one. And believe in yourself. And I know it's cliche, but truly, like, I'm so optimistic about what I can accomplish, and sometimes unrealistically optimistic, but I don't care. I do not care. I put it all out there into the universe, focus on it, and tell myself it will happen. And then I just do everything I can to make it happen. And I think, if you want to start a business, you've just got to believe in yourself.
Yeah, it's good. What you're just saying, talking about failure. Michael and I are big Michael Jordan fans, and he had a quote. He said, I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I cannot accept not trying again. And
Totally.
I think that sums up what you were just mentioning. So thanks for bringing that up.
I'm with you guys. The Last Dance.
Oh,
good. So good.
So good.
We might have a trio here, Michael. We have to have Kristi on our show again. So,
I'm all up. I love all the sports documentaries and
so good
quotes, and I love watching that stuff. It's so inspiring.
I agree.
Good advice. Good parting advice for the audience, Kristi. And I can personally attest to your magic touch when it comes to organization. So if anybody is thinking about how to optimize their life through organization, or if you have a business that could be well served through better organization and management, Kristi's your gal. She really does have expertise in this area. So if people want to find you and your organizational expertise, what's the best way for them to do that, Kristi?
Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. It was fun to organize for you guys. They were one of my first guinea pigs back when I was starting out. So I really appreciate that. Yep. My business is KO Luxury Organizing. You can find my website at koluxury.com, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at KO Luxury Organizing. And that's really it. That's all you need to know, I think.
Awesome.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun chatting with you guys.
It was such a fun discussion today, ranging from business to astrology, and highlighting really the significance of how our life's experiences shape who we are and how we end up in our second acts. So, Kristi, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today. I know our audience is going to be entertained with this episode. And we'll be sure to include links to your information in the episode details. And we look forward to reconnecting with the audience again next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Thanks,
go.
guys.
I'm gonna go jump on your website and geek out to some more of those pictures. So.
Oh, good. Thanks, and I can't wait to
Thank you.
compare trucker hats.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Kristi, thank you so much for being on the show. We immensely appreciate it, and I really enjoyed talking to you as well. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys. It was great to chat with you. I really enjoyed it too.
All right. Till
Bye,
next time.
Michael.
See
Good
ya.
job, brother.
You too.
We'll see you later.
The Second Act with Michael and John stars Michael Newborn and John Ballenger. The podcast is produced by Seltzer Kings. For more information on the show, check out michaelandjohn.com, or if you'd like to get involved in the conversation, give the guys a shout on their socials at The Second Act with Michael and John on most platforms. Thanks for listening.